Hi, everybody. It's 6 o'clock. It's May 28th. Hello. Hi. Thanks for coming, everybody. It's May 28th. This is our regular town board meeting for the town of Rhinebeck. Would everybody please join me for the pledge? One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I can see by everyone wearing green that the Workforce Housing Public Information Meeting is well attended, so thank you. But before we get to that, we have a Historical Preservation Award. I'd like to ask the board to turn to tab 1, Resolution 2024-243. May I have a resolution establishing the Annual Historic Preservation Award?
So moved.
Is that Alan?
Yeah.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Chance. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Where's Michael Booty? There he is. On behalf of the town board and myself and the Historic Preservation Committee, all of whom are sitting in the front row here, thanks for your great work, we'd like to present the first annual Excellence in Historic Preservation Award. But I want to say a few words. It's appropriate that we're doing it now in May because this is National Historic Preservation Award Month. And this award acknowledges individuals or groups that do amazing work to preserve local historic and enhance and preserve what's here in Rhinebeck. Some projects are more visible than others, and I know that all of you have seen this because we know from the county DPW that about 2,000 cars a day go down River Road. And the winner of this year, the first award, is Eric and Wendy Schmidt Astor Courts. And we have Michael Udi, the estate manager, here to accept the award. I just want to say that these walls are over half a mile long, and they're a hugely defining feature of River Road, all the way from Rhinecliff Road through Red Hook. They're just amazing, and they were built 150 years ago, and the restoration of them is immaculate. So we are very grateful and honored to have you here, and thank you on behalf of the town for restoring this seminal piece of local history. Did you want to say anything?
I'm not a speech maker, so I just want to say thank you to you guys. I can't take much credit for it, but I do know that it pleases ownership that not only that they can do something to restore a wall like this, not for themselves, but also for all the people that drive by every day. They really enjoy preserving what they can and adaptively reusing everything else. So I think this will make them very happy to be acknowledged, and so thank you guys very much.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Okay. Before we get to the meat of the meeting, I need a motion for approval of our prior minutes for May 13th, 2024.
Motion.
Thanks, Alan.
Second.
Thanks, Chance. I just want to note that our town board statements are a part of the record, and I want to thank the clerk on the short-term housing law. So thank you, John, for that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, well, we're all here, I think some of us at least, to attend the Workforce Housing Public Information Meeting. I've been getting emails from people saying, I hope if this isn't a done deal, I hope that you haven't made up your mind. We made up our mind, I guess, in 2019, Warren, when we laid down the overlay for the workforce housing floating district. And in my opinion now, what we're doing is fine-tuning the plan.
Didn't she put it up?
Do you want me to say everything over again?
Yes.
Okay. I've been getting emails from people saying that they hope we haven't made up our mind. We made up our mind in 2019 when we passed our law for workforce housing and overlaid the 2 districts for this. Now we're working on a project, and what we're doing is going through the review process and working out the details. So I think I can say assuredly that this will be done. It's just how and what it will look like that's the question. This is going in on this property, and that was decided in 2019. There's one other piece of property that we could also develop, but this is happening. So now we need to work together to figure out the details. And we've done a lot of work in advance of that. We've turned it over, to be turning it over to the planning board. It has gone through review, or will go through review with the Dutchess County Department of Planning, our Conservation Advisory Board, our Waterfront Committee, and the village as an interested party. So the law was passed in 2019, Warren, for the overlay?
27.
2018, 2019? COVID, with COVID, you lose a few years. So at that point, it was decided that workforce housing would happen here. And now we're deciding the details. And that's what we want input on. So thank you all for coming, and I'd like to turn this over to, I don't know who, from the Carney company, Ken Carney, the president and owner of Carney Construction. Thanks for coming.
Good evening, Supervisor, Councilman, Council. Nice to see you all again. I'm Ken Carney from the Carney Realty Development Group. We have a slide presentation here. First, I want to introduce my team. With me is the project manager, Justin Lee from Carney Group, project architect, AJ Coppola, Andy Learn, project engineer, John Dahlgren, partner at Tim Miller Associates, the planners, and our counsel, Charles Northbound. This project is located on Minecliff Road. It's known as Locust Hill.
Mike's not working.
Can you see?
Here, see, what's the problem?
Every year. Both. Maybe sit down. Sit down.
Okay.
Maybe he can sit down so he's not blocking the slides.
Please, Ken. The tough crowd. Test.
Okay. Again, I'm Ken Carney from the Carney Realty Group. This company was started over 30 years ago. It's now second generation, and we hope for the third generation to be coming in. We currently own and manage more than 2,000 units throughout the Hudson Valley. Those 2,000 units, we have developed them, we've constructed them. More importantly, we manage them. You've met our development team here. So what we're going to talk about tonight is the Locust Hill project. How we've gone through the approval process. We made our first submission to the town board back in 2021. The various steps that we've taken to get here tonight. Talk about the changes, how the plan has evolved based on feedback and comments and studies. So the approval process, as the supervisor said, the town board adopted a workforce housing overlay zone and identified 2 pieces of property in the town that are suitable for this overlay district to be placed on it. One is the site that we're working on, formerly owned by Northern Dutchess Hospital, and the other one is, we'll talk about that, we feel is rather constrained, but the approval process. Once the town board accepts the concept, the town board requests input. SECRA, the town board declared their intent to be lead agency, I believe, last August. We've been doing our SECRA studies since then, and the SECRA process, and the input and the feedback and the comments continue. And then the town board would set a public hearing, hopefully at some point close the public hearing, and the town board then would approve the concept and zoning amendment, and then the site plan review as well. And next. Why here? This site was identified by the town of Rhinebeck's Workforce Housing Committee. We have over 18 acres of developable land, walkability to the village, access to water and sewer. This is very important. We wouldn't be here tonight if it was not for the village of Rhinebeck as well working with us. I've met with the mayor and trustees. Over a period of time, we've reached an agreement to get water and sewer from the village of Rhinebeck, and we have set up a contribution to help offset some of the costs, or most of the costs with that. But the village of Rhinebeck has been a very good partner here as well. The pre-existing zoning density. This property currently is zoned Village Gateway, and it allows, the current zoning allows more units than what we are proposing here under the current Village Gateway zoning. Site constraints. We do have some slopes. We do have some rock. It's nothing we haven't dealt with in the past. We've identified them, and we have amended our site plan to work within the constraints. This is the other site, the alternate workforce housing parcel. I think you can see by the chart here, the wetlands, it's constrained by wetlands and floodplain and so forth, and it's would be a very difficult site. Also doesn't have water and sewer, and would be a very difficult site to gain approval on. I believe the piece that fronts on the road is a GB zoning district as opposed to Village Gateway.
Can you explain where it is?
Yeah, where is that?
It's the old Eveready,
The old Everett.
across from the fairgrounds on Route 9.
On the fairgrounds?
The first site is our site.
I couldn't tell what.
Okay, can you go back to Ryan Cliff?
Yeah, where is
Andy, can you
that?
show?
So this is the site. This is Pine Cliff Road. This is Astor Drive. This is Wells Manor. We're right next to Wells Manor. We actually have an access easement from Wells Manor Lane to allow access to the site. And actually, this is the Baker House bed and breakfast where the sidewalk actually ends.
Show the highway garage, Andy.
Yeah, the highway garage is right here.
Andy,
So,
next slide.
excuse me, I'm sorry, is that where the cows are all? In the field there with the cows?
No.
I'm not sure where that is, I still can't figure that out.
The cows are across the street.
Next to Baker House.
Can you show us?
Oh, next to Baker House?
Well, everybody, let's go through this presentation and then let's just,
Well, we want to know where it is.
Yeah,
we've been talking about this for 5 years. It's on Rhine Cliff Road, across from Scholdorf Dairy. Between our highway garage and Baker B&B, as you can see, it's set back in the woods. It will have egress onto Rhine Cliff Road and one way only onto Astor Drive.
That's correct.
It sort of sits between Wells Manor, the gardens, and the woods.
Okay. This is a timeline. Our initial submission to the town board, as you can see, was back 3 years ago. The various meetings we've had, various studies we have done, various studies we have submitted for review. And like I said previously, in August of 2023, the town board circulated for lead agency. We've done an extensive tree survey, and we'll talk, John Dahlgren will talk more about that tonight. And most recently, at May 13th, the town board, May 13th, meeting, the town board accepted the concept plan. Go ahead. The development overview. So The workforce housing zoning district, once applied, would be applied on the 23.3 acre parcel. As I mentioned, it borders the village of Rhinebeck. We have 80 rental units. One unit will be non-rent bearing, will be for an on-site superintendent. As I mentioned previously, we manage all of our own properties. An on-site superintendent is critical to proper management. We have an on-site management office which will be manned Monday through Friday, but that superintendent is there every day, every night, and on weekends and so forth. So to get the right superintendent, he's our eyes and ears when the property manager is not there. So we have 79 rental units. We have the rents and are set at various income levels, up to 80% of AMI. Next, David. On-site management office, on-site superintendent. We have a sidewalk connection to the village, accessible green space, gazebo, a playground, common rooms, on-site laundry, bike storage, also a fitness room. Andy, you want to talk a little bit about it? Sure. Now you can't see over him.
Yeah, so the existing conditions for the site, it's a 23.3 acre site. We do have some wetlands and green here at the north end and a little bit along the creek at the south end. There is a small bit of floodplain that cuts the corner at the south end. And then the gray shaded area are some steep slopes that we have. It's of the total of 23 acres, we have about almost 4 acres of steep slopes that we have to work around as best we can. It's not necessarily an existing condition, but just to point out, it is actually right next to the village wastewater treatment plant, which is right here.
I'm sorry.
Maybe use the mic. Oh, does it?
So since our initial submission in June 2021, this was our first submission. It only had access from Wells Manor Lane, which was our primary point of access. We did not have access from Runcliffe Road. As you can see, the layout was spread out. It wasn't very walkable, but we were trying to work with the existing grades to make it work. Again, as with all of our layouts, we were doing the best we could to minimize the amount of soil disturbance with these plans. In this plan, you can see we had 5 buildings, still only 80 units. After we received comments, we then tried to consolidate the plan as best we could. Again, the buildings were laid out in more of a linear fashion because that's the direction that the slope is, dropping down in this direction. And we tried to put the buildings along the edge of the slope with walkout basements, 3 stories, 2 stories in the front, 3 stories in the back. This layout had roundabouts at the end with one-way traffic, attempting to try to spread the parking out, kind of keep the parking along the top of the contour, top of the slope as much as possible. Again, we still had the playground. We were showing a walking trail. Again, further comments after that. We heard that there was too much parking, too much pavement, so we kept the linear design and tried to add green space in front between the parking and the buildings. We still heard that we weren't complying with town design standards. So after further conversations, we've come to the current plan, which again, we still have somewhat of a linear design, but we have 6 buildings now and attempted to cluster as much as we can to try to create more of a village feel. We do have off-street parking tucked in behind the buildings and along the sides, as well as on-street parking. We're trying to minimize the amount of parking so as not to over-park the site, but have enough for everyone to park as needed. Some of the comments that we received had to do with walkability of the site and how people could reach various town amenities and to walk to the village. So what we're proposing right now is a gravel path through the woods to the end of the existing sidewalk network on Rhinecliff Road. Backing up a moment, this design in March 2022, we heard that traffic on Astor Drive was a concern. So we added an entrance on Rhinecliff Road after discussions with the DOT. This original connection was very close to the bed and breakfast to make the walkability as best we could on the sidewalks along the edge of the road. That required a fairly large excavation along the road to make the roads work and meet fire and town code standards. And it was also a challenge to get required site distance, so we again had to cut more of the slope back to make that work. Based on subsequent conversations, we've moved that entrance further to the west, which greatly improves our site distance and reduces the amount of excavation required to make that entrance work. It does pull us a little bit further away from the end of the existing sidewalk network on Rhinecliff Road, but again, we're proposing this walk through the woods to make that connection. Again, because one of the things we didn't mention earlier is that the town park library community area is right here, almost directly across from the original entrance. So we want to make sure that the people that live here have easy access to those amenities and the village as well. In addition to the site access road, we've heard comments that about trees and preservation of trees. So we've done our best we can to preserve those trees, and even though we have done the best we can to preserve those trees, we still have to remove some trees. So in order to mitigate that, we are proposing to plant additional trees. We'll have a full landscaping plan during the approval process. But we are also proposing street trees to kind of make up for that, try to make it again feel like a village, a local developed street. So I mentioned earlier that the village wastewater treatment plant is right next to the northern end of the site. That is going to make for a much easier connection for us to the village's sewer and water utilities. We actually have been in talks with the village and have a tentative agreement for them to provide sewer and water to the project. The other comments that we received are about stormwater. Again, we're going to have a full stormwater pollution prevention plan utilizing various stormwater practices, including porous pavement, fire retention filters, and a dry detention pond to mitigate water quality and quantity flows from the project. I did want to just kind of jump back early on. Supervisor Swinzy had mentioned that we would be getting comments from the planning board. I just want to mention that we did have conversations with them early on in 2022 as part of the referral process for the project. We got comments from actually the Dutchess County, preliminary comments from the Dutchess County Department of Planning, town's engineering consultant, planning board consultant, historic and archaeological preservation committee, workforce housing committee, and waterfront advisory committee. So we've had quite a few comments, and that's helped us get to where we are right now. And again, some of the comments that we received were related to traffic, site distance, and traffic on Astor Drive. As I've mentioned, we've done our best to mitigate those comments. Visual impacts, we've tried to keep the project as up into the woods, so screening along Rhinecliff Road would be maintained with existing trees as best we can. I mentioned tree removal. We're doing the best we can to preserve trees, in particular this area here. This is a open green space area for community members to just enjoy, use as they see fit. There's actually some existing trees here that we're going to try to preserve, and we'll do that elsewhere as we can. Other comments had to do with preservation of stone walls. preservation of the Darling Historic Site, which is right about here. Again, we have a plan, a clearance from the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation that our project will not have a significant impact on the archaeological features, and we have a plan to protect that area, although currently there's no work proposed in that area. And then that's about it. Again, as you stated, we received quite a number of comments from the various town committees, and we've done our best to comply with the town design standards to make it meet with the mesh with the existing town.
Thank you, Andy. We're just going to relocate our boards real fast.
May I ask you a question?
I think we're going to finish our presentation and then take questions.
Go ahead.
Pertaining to what he just said.
Go ahead.
Okay, it looks like there could be between 80 and 160 cars.
Yes.
A lot of people have 2 cars. It's 160 cars coming out of there.
Oh, yes.
So, where are those cars going to go? How is that's going to affect that little road, Astor Drive,
Okay,
that's...
we'll hold that thought. We'll talk about traffic later. There will be cars, there will be traffic, there's going to be 80 units there.
Thank you.
I don't think that's nice to do that unless you ask them.
All right, so can everybody hear me okay? I'm trying to talk louder. Okay, so again, my name is AJ Coppola. I'm the project architect. So I'm here specifically more or less to talk about the buildings. So I'm going to basically talk about 2 things regarding the buildings. One is a set of design guidelines that the New York State Department of Housing and Community Renewal, that's where we get the funding for this, what they require in a general sense for the construction, and then I'm going to talk about our green and sustainable design features. So Housing and Community Renewal, that's the agency that we deal with, and basically everybody calls them HCR. So HCR, we basically have a set of design guidelines that we need to follow. So you're getting basically a higher standard of construction, mostly because of those design guidelines, what the state requires. They want a durable product. They want a product that's going to last 30 years, which we've been doing this a long time, and that's part of what you're getting here. And in addition to, as I mentioned, the green and sustainable features. So what is this project? As Andy said, this project is 6 buildings. It's pretty much as depicted here. It's going to be a 2-story, which is a walk-up. So you come into the front, and then if your apartment is on the 2nd floor, you walk up to that, and then some of these buildings have an exposed lower level. So basically 2 floors above grade and then an exposed lower level in the rear. So the construction that's perfect. That would be an idea of what's on the rear. So 3 stories then. So the construction is pretty straightforward. It's all wood frame. We're getting concrete plank siding and concrete plank vertical siding for the exterior. So again, very durable, fiberglass shingles for the roof, and an Energy Star rated window. Let's talk about the accessibility features here. Again, all of the units at grade are fully handicap accessible. So the upper story units are not, there's not an elevator, again it's a walk-up. So the units at grade, which would be just about half of the total, are going to be accessible. And what we propose to the state typically is that a certain number of those adaptable units, we fully adapt as part of the construction. So typically the building code doesn't actually require fully adapted units, but basically what that means for us is that when this project opens or when the construction is completed, we are going to create on day 1 fully adaptable units for mobility and fully adapted units for AV or audio and visual for hearing. So basically all of the features inside And the numbers would be 10%, so the fully adapted units would be 8, and there would be 4 HV or audiovisual units with like a strobe in the bedroom. So 8 and then 4 for the total of the 80 units. So those would be distributed around and distributed between the number of bedrooms. The state requires that. So just briefly again, we are 80 units. We have a total of 18 one-bedrooms, 44 two-bedrooms, and 18 three-bedrooms. And again, the state requires us to basically create a very nice interior apartment with durable finishes, a fully boxed kitchen cabinet, and those types of features are all part of what we're building here. So let me just go through, that's more or less on the construction and on what we're building. So on the green and sustainability features, HCR has really increased through the years, and I've been doing this with the state for over 30 years, but they've increased their green and sustainable requirements really well beyond that. They are a leader in the country, I believe, for green and sustainable design, what they require. So just briefly, let me read this. So Locust Hill has been designed with advanced all-electric whole building decarbonization strategy. So first of all, burning fossil fuels is no longer. We are no longer burning any gas or any oil. These buildings are all electric, and we kind of made that switch over, I think, about within the past year or two. So it's an all-electric future for what we're doing. So the certification pathway requires high-performance measures beyond the New York State Energy Code in order to achieve 3 additional energy efficiency programs. These 3 programs are EPA Energy Star Multifamily New Construction, EPA Indoor Air Plus, and Department of Energy Zero Energy Ready Homes. So what would some of these construction features include? So it's an enhanced thermal enclosure with additional levels of insulation and airtight assembly. So on all of the envelope of each apartment, the walls, the floors, the ceilings, we're creating an airtight envelope and with high insulation, again, that's up and above the New York State Energy Code. High efficiency all-electric mechanical systems. This is going to have a geothermal system. So again, if you're those of you who are familiar with geothermal, or maybe some people are not, this is a ground source based field that we pump water into and out of. You could simultaneously heat and cool at different parts of the project depending on who wants what. So you can dump heat into the ground, and you can actually pull heat out of the ground. So there's a series of pumps, wells, and that makes up the geothermal well field, and then basically we're pushing water in and out of that and then recirculating, taking that thermal energy and using it in each of the apartments. There's going to be an energy recovery ventilation system, so that's an ERV, if anybody's heard of what an ERV is. That ventilates separate from the windows. So again, we're making these apartments extremely tight with air sealing that we need to introduce another way to ventilate. So that's what an ERV does. So in an ERV, you ventilate, and again, you can take the heat or the cooling and recover that energy instead of just dumping hot air out. And lastly, high efficiency appliances, pumps, motors, and 100% LED lighting throughout the building, with also 2 EV charging stations located somewhere on Andy's plan. So, just to summarize, New York State is a leader, again, I think, in what they require, and we've kind of ridden along with this and incorporated this successfully into all of our workforce housing projects. So I think that's it for me, for now.
Now we're just going to have John Dahlgren come up and talk about some of the environmental studies that they've done.
Good evening, everybody. John Dahlgren from Tim Miller Associates. We're the planners for the project and coordinating the environmental studies that were done and the SECRA review, the State Environmental Quality Review Act process, and that's required for all development projects in New York State, and this project is going through this process right now. And basically the SECRA process is a process of both getting feedback from the public, but also doing environmental studies to make sure that, you know, any different categories, say for wetlands or for steep slopes or trees, vegetation, traffic, that's all either evaluated, look at the impacts and what the mitigation can be. And so I just want to go through kind of a summary of all these studies, and I have to say, our office has done some of the studies, but some of the studies have been done by other experts. We coordinated with Andy's office on this, and other experts too. So let me just go through the list here. And these studies will be made available to the public for, you know, review, and part of them are parts of like the tree survey, which I'll talk about, is part of the plan set that Andy's office is preparing. So, you know, all of these studies will be available for review and input, feedback, and I just want to make that clear. So a traffic study was completed, I think that was mentioned earlier, that looked at the cars generated from the project and how it will affect intersections in and around the village and the town, and especially the entrance. And Andy mentioned sight distance. That's a key part, is cars getting in and out of the site without causing accidents. So I think the entrance was moved based on, you know, both topography and sight distance, and that was a key component. So, and we're working with DOT on making sure that the site is acceptable. We did a tree survey, basically tagging all the trees of a certain size, I believe it's 6 inches or greater, and surveyed, those tree locations were surveyed, the size was measured, and the species, that's all tabulated. So we have a comprehensive list of all the trees on the site, and now, you know, with the plan as it develops, we can say which trees are going to be removed, how many, and Andy mentioned that we will be preserving certain trees where we can on the site. We did a fiscal analysis, which looks at the costs, municipal costs for the project, but also the tax benefits that will be generated for the town. And we looked at the impact from the project for the school district, how many school kids, and the fiscal impacts of you know, those kids attending the schools. We did an archaeological survey, and part of that process was coordination with the Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation. And they have reviewed the archaeological study and gave us feedback, and one of the features or components of the project now is to preserve a historic site that's near the Rhinecliff Road, and that's going to be just basically roped off or fenced off and won't be affected by the project. Andy's office has prepared a stormwater pollution prevention plan, a SWIP, which deals with all the stormwater that's going to be generated. Right now, the stormwater just flows, you know, over the ground, and that has to be managed once you put in pavement and buildings. All that water will be collected, treated, and both the water runoff will be managed, and the water quality will be maintained by the water treatment. We're completing a habitat study, which looks at basically the flora and fauna, the animals and plants that are on the site right now. We wanted to be sure to have that study be comprehensive, and so we started it in the winter. It's just finishing up now. We wanted to catch the spring period, because that's when a lot of animals are breeding, and you got potential for salamanders, frogs. So that's been wrapping up that study, and again, that'll be available for public review and agency review too. And the last thing is a visual analysis, which was requested by the board, and that's underway. We're going to look at what are the views of the site and the building from Rhinecliff Road. That's a primary public vantage point for the project. You really can't see it from too many other, maybe from the Wells Manor Road, but it has limited visibility from other areas of the town, so we'll focus on what the views are from Rhinecliff Road. So that's kind of the summary of the studies we're doing, as well as potentially others, but those are the high points.
Thanks, John. I want to say all of this is available. It's all on our website now. The plan, all of the studies, everything is on our website.
Is this presentation available?
It's on the website. We put it up this afternoon. Thank you, Joan.
And those are already, there's no changing them though, right?
Sorry?
There's no changing them though, right?
What do you mean there's no?
They're set, this is all set and done.
Well, we're hearing it now. We're hearing public comment. We haven't gotten feedback from the planning board yet. What's set in stone is that there's housing going to be built, and we'll see what, if any, changes need to be made.
You know, it's interesting because I've been here a long time, and
Can
I
you-
just heard
Can
about
you
it.
state your name?
I just heard about it. Mary Lawler, my name is. I just heard about this for the first
Are we done
time,
with your
which is
presentation?
strange. I
Well,
never,
it is strange because we've been working on it since.
but nobody sent anybody around us notices.
Okay, actually, there are public notices.
I go back and forth to the city, so I'm just saying, I just never heard of it. I'm like, did I work in the city?
Because we've been working on it since, Betty, how long? 2005. 2010.
2005. Never,
2005. When we passed the
I'm not fighting
comprehensive.
with you, I'm just saying, I never heard of it.
I don't know what to say to you. I don't know what to say. We've been talking about it. We've had it noticed at every single meeting. You've seen the list of times it was publicly
Okay.
noticed.
I'm just saying, I never heard, and usually when things like this are gonna happen in a community, they send notices out
All right, well,
to people who live there.
we don't
I never
send-
got a notice, did you?
We don't send notices.
Well, okay, I'm just saying,
You're just saying that you haven't heard of something that we've been
Never heard
working
of
on
this.
for 20 years.
no.
I don't
For 20
have a
years?
response to that. Yes, it was part of the town's comprehensive plan. When I first moved here, this is what got me involved in local government. So this was part of our comprehensive plan. We passed that in December of 2009, is that correct? 2009?
site though.
And the workforce housing, actually then it was called Affordable Housing Open Space Committee, was founded in 2010. In 2012, we had a plan for 2014, 2012, 2014, we had a plan for affordable condos at the gardens in phase 2. We sold 2 of them. We switched gears in 2014. They went back to the drawing board. We must have had it on every single meeting for
I've been
years.
to meetings.
And
I just
then-
heard about this, that's why I came. so.
That's,
Welcome.
I-
Are you taking questions now?
No, I'm not gonna say, I'm just,
And yes,
Don't
this
know
site,
why.
Sue, was decided in 2018 when we passed our workforce housing law, and there was a local law process. When a local law happens, we notice it in the newspapers, it's sent out on an email blast, we have public hearings, people come, we discuss it, it's referred to the Dutchess County Department of Planning, to the Planning Board, to the Waterfront Advisory Board, to the Workforce Housing Committee, and to the Conservation Advisory Board. What have we passed, 2 or 3 laws already in this process?
Well, we have 2 laws.
2 laws. So we passed 2 laws, and then 3 if you include the comp plan. In 2018, we laid down the overlay, and this was one of the sites that was decided where it would be. So that was decided 5 years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago.
I must have been into mining at the time, fighting mining.
But I don't, you know, one of it is we don't have local newspapers, and if you don't, you gotta sign up for it. I'm sorry, Emily Sackler, then we didn't have no local newspapers. Emily Sackler of,
And Eric is here too.
and Eric is here from the pilot.
We have 2 papers.
So now we have papers, back then we didn't. The Gazette unfolded.
Well, the other thing is the town board agenda and minutes are on the website every meeting.
Can we just go back to some questions?
Okay, so it's about next
Yeah, I'll open it up in a second.
Sorry I interrupted you and asked a question. Okay, I didn't
No,
mean
we're here to take questions.
I'm just saying, you know,
I don't know what you're just saying, and I find it shocking, because we've been talking about it nonstop. There've been public, but anyway, I'll accept that.
Can we move on?
Sign up for our emails with the town clerk, and you'll get a blast. We'll take questions. Hold on.
Let me just explain the process.
Briefly, we've given the process.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll give you 3 minutes.
exactly. Just so you know. Close to the mic, Warren. Yeah.
This is
this
Warren
on?
Urbanski. Yes.
Go on, move it closer.
Hold it right up to your lips.
Okay. Hello? So where we are in this process is that we had a public informational hearing on the original plan on November 29th, 2022, but we've received an amended plan, and that's what we hear, and that was described tonight. So the board decided to have another public informational meeting, and that's what we're doing tonight, to familiarize the public with the basics of the plan. But there's going to be a public hearing on the plan on June 10th, right? Is that right?
We'll
6
begin the
o'clock.
public hearing process.
So there'll be a public hearing on that, and then after that, hopefully we will start work on the environmental review and make a determination of significance, whether the project requires an environmental impact statement or what we call a negative declaration. Once we finish that as lead agency, there'll be another determination to accept this project, but then we have to adopt a local law which will require another set of public hearings, another public hearing, and then when we adopt the local law, finish our seeker review, it goes to the planning board for site plan review. So it's not exactly a done deal. These things have to proceed through the process. The town is very supportive of the process, but we still will have public hearings and make determinations as required by a law. So people don't get confused.
Yeah.
Hold on. If we're going to open the floor up for questions, people should
Could
probably...
people go to the...
Thanks, Warren. I'll call on you. You can come up, introduce yourself, and ask. Sure. Come on up.
Come on.
Yes.
My questions are
Your
twofold.
name, please.
Hi, Charlene Rosen. I live in the Gardens, and I have 2 questions. Firstly, I'm not quite sure the access that these people are going to have to go in and out of the development. As I said, the road, Astor Drive, is very, very curvy, and therefore I find that if there were minimum 80, possibly 160, that is there's going to have to be a traffic light somewhere, because I can tell you that once they open the garden way, the road to the public, there are stop signs. People drive through who do not live in our community. They go right through without stopping. And so that's going to be more cars. I'm talking about how faster way. They now have a town road, which is Gardens, which is our road.
It's a town road now.
It is, that's what I just
Yeah.
said. I said it's a town road.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that there are many cars now that do not stop at the stop signs. So if this were then exaggerated by 80 more cars, possibly, we have to think about preserving the integrity of the roads so people don't get hurt. You have to think of a stop sign if it goes out on Rhinebeck Road.
We will work on,
Not only a stop sign, you may need a traffic light.
I don't think we'll need a traffic light. The
But you don't know.
Department
I'm
of
just saying.
Transportation has said we do not need a traffic light, and we have an excellent highway superintendent who, you
I'm
know,
just bringing up questions now so that we can all think about it.
well, we've done a traffic study, it's part of this.
Okay, so where is the actual exit, if you don't mind? I'm sorry.
The actual exit, there's an entrance and an exit on Rhinecliff Road, right across from the entrance to Shuldorf Dairy, just east of the Highway Department. There will be an egress only, one way, onto Astor. Thank you.
So it'll be
And you
an
live
exit.
in the Gardens, are you in phase 3 or 4? So phase 1. So, I mean, you're a new development as well.
No, I'm not, but I'm trying to use my brain and tell you, you should talk with us and tell us our experiences. And the second thing I wanted to say, and I'm not being confrontational, I think you are. I think you should listen to us. The water level is very high where we live. And so you are now presenting another area which is going to have very high water level that's going to come down on us. And I just think all these things have to be addressed. So you should know what we experienced. They just had to fix many units because the water level was so high that it put in many drainage pipes in phase 1. And we're adjacent and we're talking. So to anticipate. I'm
Isn't there a
only-
big field between this development and
I have
phase
no
1?
idea.
There
No
is.
idea.
If you
I
see
just-
right here.
I just want you to anticipate. That's
Well,
all.
I want to assure you that there are engineers and planners working on this.
I'm just telling you our experience. In business, I've been in business. You learn from people who actually live there, so I would really like to use my experience. That's all.
I hear you, and I also have to say this is a private property issue. This person owns property. There is the right to develop property in this town. If Ken weren't,
I'm talking about the entrance, the exit, the cars that are going through, that's all.
okay.
They have every right to do anything.
Question over here.
Are there other, does anyone else?
Question.
Go ahead.
Joseph Molino, also from the Gardens.
Can you repeat your name, please?
Joseph Merlin, with an L. One is a question and one is a comment. The question is, do we have any idea what year groundbreaking might take place on this project?
We're hoping this year.
Really? That's wonderful. Okay, good.
As Warren says, it has to go through the process.
Right. Now, when I heard the list, I was thinking,
We're hoping, what, Ken, by December, November?
yeah.
Yeah?
Correct. The other is just a concern about, I'm in favor of the project, by the way. The concern has to do with safety. I like to walk from the Gardens to town, and the only way we can from the Gardens is really almost into traffic, either on Rhinecliff Road or on Astor Drive. And I was encouraged to hear that this development is going to have a walking path into town, as the Woods does. And I was just hoping that with the increased traffic on Astor Drive, we might be able to extend a walking path that would also include the garden. So
Thank you. I want to say that We have revived our Alta Trail plan. Alan is working on it with a community member, Dana, and I'm working on it, that will connect Amtrak with the village on Rhine Cliff Road. I just got an email while we were here. We probably have to find a little bit more money, but we are going to continue with that study for a safe biking and walking route connecting Amtrak to the village. And Astor Road is a good idea too, but that hasn't been budgeted for yet.
Okay, but for safety reasons, I think, with the traffic, getting people off of the road onto a path would be
Walkability is a big deal.
decreased liability for everybody,
Yep.
including the town.
We'll work with the village on that. I don't know if anybody has been going to the comprehensive plan proposals in the village, but that's a big part, interconnecting even this parcel with other parcels in the village. Donna, go ahead.
Donna Warner, I don't live in the Gardens. I live on Beach Street in the Village. I've been following this project since pretty much its inception, and I do want to thank the town for having put up all the documents. They have been there for a very long time, and they are accessible. It's very easy to pop them up in PDF form. I also want to thank Carney and his colleagues here, because if you follow the project over time, I feel very sensitive to the kinds of changes that have been made. They are wonderful. The configuration of the buildings, having broken up the big parking lot and put it behind the buildings. The walking path, I did have a question. The walking path is very close to Wells Manor. It would be great if there was an access so Wells Manor folks can come over and hook onto that path, because they right now also have no accessibility, no sidewalk on the Astor Drive side. They have to walk in the road to hook up. And it's very close, and it would be lovely if Wells Manor folks could go around the corner and walk into the village. I don't live there, but I do feel very strongly about people having this kind of walkability. Thank you.
Thanks, Donna.
This is just one, because it's related to what you were just talking about. So, and I live at Wells Manor. Okay. So I'm Ellen Crystal. I live at Wells Manor. And we have only one entrance and exit at Wells Manor. It's that road. It's just one driveway that comes into the whole complex. So that's a really good idea. Thank you for bringing that up, because it is the only way we can get in and out. So if they're using it for construction and this whole now 80 apartments, using that one, that has, I don't know how they've considered how they're going to make any changes so that we have a little access.
Well, I think it's just shared in the last 20 feet, 20 yards, or is it 20 feet?
Yeah, but it's the only way to get in and out, that's all I'm saying.
And there's another,
yes. Yeah. But I really love the idea of the walking path and all of that.
Thanks. Andy, can you speak to the access for building this? I don't know.
Sure, yeah, initially access will have to be from Wells Manor, but our entrance is only, it's no more than a couple hundred feet off of Astor Drive.
So we close in and then just...
Right, before you get to the hill, just after you cross the little creek here, there's a little culvert here, that's where our entrance would be.
Okay. And the other thing was sewage, because we have the sewer is right in Wells Manor. That's where we get to smell all of that. As it going on, there are times when it's very pungent, and some people that live, within Wells Manor, there's some people that live very close to it and have suffered through that. And we've spoken to the mayor, and everything it's still a problem. So I don't know if that's going to make any difference, adding 80 buildings or 80 apartments, but it needs to be. I'd like to know more about that, how they're handling that. Okay, thanks.
Hello, I'm Steve Rosenberg. I live on Platt Avenue in the village, and if I have a question, it's a rhetorical one, which is, how can we get this done? Sooner rather than later. I actually co-founded the Open Space and Affordable Housing Committee back in 2006 with Bob Wills, and I'm super pleased that the project has reached this point with the support and involvement of the board and the cooperation of the developer. Project like this in this location has been envisioned by the community through the comprehensive plan, the zoning, the laws you mentioned, for a long time now. It responds to the need for housing affordability and to the climate crisis because it's compact, it's located adjacent to the village, it's served by village water and sewer, it achieves energy efficiency and green building goals that are above just about any market rate project because of the subsidies and the requirements that were spoken about. And it's absolutely essential for Rhinebeck not to be labeled exclusionary because practically the entire rest of the town is zoned for large lot single family homes. The community needs the project. Many people in the community want to see it happen. Some might want fewer units. Others would like to see more. To the extent possible, possibly at lower rents. But we understand no developer can build housing that most people can afford without subsidies and having certain conditions in place to make it work at all. So thank you for adjusting the site plan and design in response to the issues that have been raised so far. The kind of cooperation that's happened to date needs to continue, and let's get to yes as soon as we can. Thank you.
My name is Al Ragucci, and I live in Phase 2 of the Gardens, and I'm a YIMBY, yes, in my backyard. I look out here at these gray heads, I think, boy, do we need young people here. And the only way we're going to get young people here is to create affordable housing, and I'm fine with that. I'm the former president of the board of Phase 2. We were supposed to have affordable housing in Phase 2, never happened, disappeared, right? So I am, and incidentally, I've done research on this firm. It's an excellent firm with an excellent reputation, and it's a great plan, and we need it.
Eleanor, I'm going to come on up. Because if you want to line up, or I don't know. Line up, everyone.
Eleanor Pucklow, Village Green. I just want to thank the people who brought up the walkway from Wells Manor. I think it's a great idea. That's what I was going to suggest. I do want to comment that the asphalt walkway that currently comes into the village from the woods is in very bad shape. I've actually seen people go up the street, up the road in their wheelchairs, and I think it would be great if these people would be willing to extend a hand to their Wells Manor neighbors and maybe extend that walkway all the way, you know, hook up to the village.
I think that's your responsibility now as a village trustee. We'll support you, but I think that's on you guys. It's the village. Thanks. No, you know, we're supportive of trails and walkability. We'll do what we can. There's only so much we can ask of Ken in this project. This is funded by taxpayer dollars. We'd like to connect whatever we can. We're committed to a walkable, bikeable town into the village. Been working with Steve on safe biking paths. We're working to connect. Things will come. We'll do what we can as we can.
Hello, my name is Steve Sensel. I live in the village on Lane Drive, and I just want to also voice my support for the project. I do have two questions for the developers. I attended a meeting in the fall where a comment was raised about offering studio apartments, and I didn't see any in the original plan. And I'm wondering, was that discussed? Financially, is it something that can be included? There are many young people, I think, that it would be advantageous for them in terms of rent to have a studio versus a one-bedroom.
Steve, I think I raised the studio question, and I think it wasn't done because the one-bedrooms are pretty affordable, and it's within the scope of what can be funded by the state.
Okay,
But
well-
I'll let Ken answer that.
And then the second question I have is, the walkway along Rhinecliff Road, is that lit for a night pedestrian, or is it wide enough for a cycle and pedestrian?
What walkway?
Along Rhinecliff Road, on the entrance egress, you said there's a walkway, if I understood.
No.
Ask the
This
road,
one?
ask the.
This trail will be stone dust. And it will be walkable, but it likely won't be bikeable
And will it be lit?
after the woods, no.
Okay, and there's no continuation this way, it's just that
No,
location?
and we don't show it, but this trail is gonna come along the edge here and tie into the existing sidewalk right here.
So I would just ask you to think about lighting in such a way that it's, low grade, so it's not obtrusive, but it's a safe means for entering and exiting the location. And the same would be true if you're going to extend the walkway on the south side of Astor Drive up to Wells Manor. Again, if individuals are using that at dusk in the evening, lighting would be advantageous. So I just put that out for your consideration.
Thank you.
I'll answer the question on the studio. The cost, we do our own construction, and we've been told that our construction costs are very competitive compared with our competitors. And due to that, the cost to make a one-bedroom as opposed to a studio is not that much more, right? It's your kitchen and your bathroom is where the cost is, the heating unit and so forth. So we shy away from it. We also try to get an average, which we have here, where it averages out the unit count to 2 bedrooms, where we have 44 2-bedrooms, 18 ones, 18 threes, right? It averages out. But I think you'll see the cost of the 1-bedrooms across different income brackets. I think it'll be affordable. And I understand, because for the first time, we're looking at micro units. We've been asked by a community down in Westchester to do micro units, and I put the key in the front door, you break the back window. But I understand the concept, but I'm old-fashioned. I want a bedroom, and so that's why we shied away from it here. But it's a valid point.
Are you coming up to speak, standing up people? Okay. Sure. Thanks for coming.
Quick. My name's Cynthia Burke, and I moved here from Manhattan 2 years ago. 2 months ago, I moved from the woods to the downstairs of another building, a home on Kramer Road. And here's my request. I have a request and a question. My request is that you paint a yellow stripe down the middle of Astor Drive and white stripes along the side, like Mount Rutson Road, because there are no edges. And when I drive through there, I'm always fearful of someone walking along the side that I might hit them. There's no place for anybody to step off. And I understand that the problem has been that half of that road up to Wells Manor belongs to the village, and the rest belongs to the town. Concept after 2 years, I still don't quite understand. And the other question is, I read the overstory, and my question is, are trees transplantable?
Thank you. You should call our highway superintendent about painting the stripe, and I think they're not transplantable and have a certain size.
My name is Joe Geld, and I was a member of the town board for 10 years. During that period, I worked extensively with the Affordable Housing Committee on this law and to encourage affordable housing. Indeed, let me emphasize, this was part of our zoning law in 2009 to encourage affordable housing. However, it provided that it would not take effect until there was further legislation. After 15 years, we have that legislation. We have a site, lo and behold, of many acres. And indeed, my question to the developer is, beside the site, do you have the money? Because my understanding is that the site comes with at least $5 million from the hospital, and I know you've applied to the state for grants. So could you tell us a little bit about whether you really can bring this to Rhinebeck, because we've been waiting 15 years for it?
Well, the good news is we have secured all the funding. We secured over $6 million from the Wells Manor transfer. The Wells Manor Housing Development Fund Company was very gracious, reached out to us. The money was possibly going to be recaptured in a pool, and we were able to work with the Attorney General's office 2 years ago to facilitate setting up. We're working with a not-for-profit here, the New York City Housing Partnership. They actually started this project, and they brought me in as a partner. So we have that $6 million sitting in an escrow account. In addition to that, the federal tax credits and the state tax credits, very, very competitive, along with a $2.5 million Housing Trust Fund award. We were awarded on March, I think it was 31st. Yeah, it was March. It was right around St. Patty's Day, so it was March 18th and 19th. So yes, we have all the money. My son and I signed personally for all the money. I don't have a lot of money, but my wife is loaded. She'll sign as well. But we currently just paid off 2 construction loans. It's normal for us to be out anywhere from $50 to $75 million on every given day on construction loans. So the way this will go, we close. Our construction loan will be for approximately $17–18 million. We'll have some equity coming in from the tax credits at the closing during the course of construction. And then once the project is finished and it's rented up, then the other equity and the other monies come in. And let me add, this is a 15-year, it's a limited partnership, but we set up a limited partnership just for the tax credits to flow to the limited partners. All of our limited partnerships are set up that at the end of 15 years, the Carneys own it. Carneys, we negotiate a buyout today, what it's going to cost us to buy it in 15 years. We're going through it now. We just bought out our partners up in Red Hook. We're buying out our partners down at Somers at the end of next year. So, and then at the end of 15 years, we buy out our limited partners. The structure changes a little bit, but the Carneys continue to own it and manage it forever. But yes, we have all the money we need to build this project.
Good evening, Robert Donaldson. I have 2 questions, and they're for the developers. So, once the project is completed, the plan is completed, and the construction begins, it would be fair to say that the Rhinecliff Road will be the entrance and egress for construction vehicles.
So yes, initially, Wells Manor will be the primary access for construction.
So Wells Manor will be used as an egress for construction vehicles or an entrance?
Until we are able to construct the Rhinecliff Road entrance, we will need to have access via Wells Manor.
What's going to happen though when people can't?
So once the project is completed, will the Rhinecliff Road be the entrance for service vehicles? Or, yes.
Right.
But, service vehicles.
Tell me what type of service vehicles you would.
Air conditioning, electricians, contractors, trucks coming in.
You're not going to, with all due respect, you won't have that for the first 5 years or so. It'll be very sporadic, because all of our subs give us 3, 4, 5-year guarantees. So for the first 5 years, there's not going to be a lot. We don't have a lot of service vehicles going in to our other properties. There is going to be some disruption during construction.
I'm talking about after the construction.
It's minimal, very minimal.
So you're also saying that the Wells Manor Road would be also used as an egress by service vehicles?
Part of the requirement, initially the New York State DOT was only going to allow entrance only from from Rhinecliff. Based on the comments we received, we got them to allow full access to Rhinecliff Road, conditioned on the ability to maintain the access to Wells Manor as exit only. We have to leave it that way to get the DOT to approve our plan. So there is possibility that exit only traffic will go out to Wells Manor, any kind of traffic.
Okay. I just think that people should know if they see construction vehicles going down their narrow road, that it's understood ahead of time that this would be. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sue?
Just a quick question.
So I live on Sandalwood Lane, which is in the Gardens in Phase 1, and our concern is noise.
Can you speak into the mic?
Noise.
Can you speak into the mic?
Sorry, I thought my voice was loud enough.
No.
Sorry.
No.
So, I understand.
Get closer to the mic, Sue, and just speak right in. Yeah.
Pick it up.
Right to your left. So I understand the project is projected to be 2 years of construction, and I don't think that includes the excavation, which I think will be pretty substantial. I don't know how long the excavation portion of this will be. Do you know?
We hope to build this anywhere from 18 to 22 months.
The whole thing?
The whole thing,
Wow.
excavation, 18 to 22 months.
So right now, we're projected to have construction from 7 in the morning to 8 in the evening, Monday through Saturday. Is there a possibility, that's according to your architectural form, for a bunch of retired people on Sandalwood Lane, this affects about 7 buildings. This is major stuff, major noise for a bunch of retirees. Is there anything that you can consider, because we are going to be suffering with that, honestly. And also, according to what I've read, 13 acres of trees or forest is going to be taken down. That's a big buffer for us. So these are my major concerns, not against the project, but against the fact that my quality of life is going to diminish greatly. And I think the path and doing, well, I walk on Astor every single day. There is a fair amount of pedestrian and car traffic. And I see a lot of Wells Manor folks with canes and carriages, and it is a busy road. So that is something that hopefully, it sounds like that will be restricted for us as far as walking is concerned during construction. Do you expect that to be the case?
For Wells Manor?
Well, Astor. Will we have access to it while you're constructing?
Yeah, but we can't stop access.
The road will
There be-
remain open for
Right.
construction.
So just getting back to the noise and the buffer.
The buffer. So we have a natural buffer, right? When the gardens was planned, they planned this buffer area here that I believe Winnicking.
27 acres.
27 acres.
Long, narrow.
Right. But it's 27 acres. and that's our buffer for now. I haven't had complaints, and some people, I'm serious, and I built phase 2, I built phase 2 next to phase 1, and senior housing, and I didn't have a lot of complaints from my own tenants.
You're talking about after it's being built or during construction?
During construction, I'm serious. So, and I didn't have 17 acres as a buffer, but I'll tell you this, if it becomes a problem, of course, we will listen. For me, are they going to work every Saturday? Not every Saturday, but are they going to work? Especially if we start this at a certain time and we're trying to make a deadline, before frost hits or something, they may. But I really don't think here, you have a pretty good buffer. That's pretty treed, isn't it?
Yeah. It's, there's a lot of trees here in our property
Guys,
line.
I think you're speaking to Sue instead of like,
Okay.
there's a conversation
All right,
instead
but
of.
I want to focus on that buffer, I call it buffer, the easement area.
We can hear the Dutchess County Fairgrounds from the gardens. We can hear the house on the corner of Astor and when he has a party, up through almost phase 2. So noise doesn't really travel. I find it hard to believe that.
I think we can talk about it, maybe come up with some ways.
Thank you for listening.
So, just a comment, in the wintertime.
Hi, I'm Martha Honey, and I also live in the gardens, and I also live on Sandalwood. And I just want to say a couple of things. I think we have to keep in mind the greater good over some personal, slight inconvenience. Endured whatever, and it was not a big deal. The construction of phase 3, the construction of phase 2, if we live in phase 1 at the gardens, and it was not a big deal. The traffic problem that's been raised, frankly, we have 300 people in both the woods, about 300 homes in both the woods and the gardens. We never have a traffic jam. Now, I realize that this workforce housing, it will be working families by and large living there. And so there's likely to be more traffic going out. But I think these are things that we can endure for the good of the community, for our need to have people who work in our community, live in our community, and be part of our community. Thank you.
Anybody else who hasn't spoken yet before Donna goes again? Go ahead, Donna.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
Do I have to get up?
Yeah.
No. I know I've heard this before, but I think people often misunderstand how long these units will remain affordable.
Forever.
And yes, and I believe Carney had already committed to 50 years, and you, or didn't you say the town will protect this as affordable?
Ken's, his 50-year commitment was regarding financing.
Oh, okay.
We are mandating that these are affordable in perpetuity.
Yes, thank you. Often misunderstood.
There's a difference between Ken's funding cycles and repaying loans and mortgages and whether they'll remain affordable.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Betty?
I just want to, once again, as others have said, thank the town board so much for helping us to work through this, and thank you to the developers for being so responsible in their approach. I just think we are.
Anybody else? Anil?
Nobody questions the quality of county work. That's fact. What I was going to say is, I've studied these guys. Anil Talan. I live in Rhinebeck. I've paid attention to these guys for a long time, and I can attest that they do a good work. And they are what they say. The traffic question is a real question. The traffic light, that's a question. Astor Drive is going to be trouble. But the separate question I have is a legit question, which is that the planning board regularly look for workforce housing as a way for the residents of Rhinebeck to have starter homes for their families and so forth. But what has not been mentioned here is that the determination of tenancy in these places will be managed by the New York City Partnership. And that's been entirely out of our grasp, and that's by the covenant, if I understand it correctly.
Incorrect.
Tell us that.
I don't fully understand the question. Well, you're saying,
Well,
go back to your statement about New York City.
New York City Partnership
Right.
has the certificate of compliance for tenancies for this facility.
Incorrect. My company will do the marketing, my company will conduct the lottery, my company will do the lease up, my company will do the management.
Oh.
Yes.
Sheila Martin, she seemed, when I read what Sheila Martin, in charge of that, she seemed to have a very different, that she was in control of that.
Sheila Martin works for New York City Housing Partnership, who is our partner.
Right.
Every deal I do,
Right.
I have a not-for-profit partner,
I see.
and they work with us.
Right.
But we are the signers for all these guarantees. We run the show. The marketing here is done out of our office, okay? The rent-up is done out of our office. We expect here the same, like we had in Carmel. I just finished the project in Carmel. We have 450 applicants for 75 people, for 75 apartments.
Say that again, Ted? How many applications?
450.
For how many?
75. And we just got funded, we did so well that the state just funded us, the same day they funded us here, they funded us for the second phase. So that was just approved last Wednesday in the town of Carmel. So let's say you expect 350 to 400 applications, and they come in. But there's not, New York City Housing Partnership works with us. They are a partner. But I think you're
Maybe so.
yeah, I think so.
At Church of the Messiah, you said, when people asked you that question about people who work for the hospital or for the traffic or
Right.
for teachers,
Right.
you said that it would be a high bar
It would be a high bar, that's correct.
for them. Go ahead.
Because of the demographics, the only time you're allowed to do local preferences for that is if the demographics of a community are such. However, they have allowed, during the pandemic, they did allow preferences for essential workers. They have since done away with it.
We're getting to the ticklish part now, which is in the covenant, the COP, the COV, whatever the housing HCR publishes. There is a clause saying that even where there has been no prior discrimination, you were saying, so when you were saying about the demographics, what do you mean by demographics?
Well,
Getting the demographics right for your tenancy.
no, I didn't say get demographics right for my tenancies. I did say, and I don't know what this covenant is. What are you referring to? I've been doing this for 30 years. I never
Are
heard
you
of the
talking
covenant.
about federal fair housing regulations?
No, these are state regulations. All I was concerned about is what people in Yonkers were concerned about and so forth, is that losing control about, there's a certain standard, and people are safe in Rhinebeck. And we're worried, it's true. No, this is a legitimate worry. Nobody mentions it.
Ken is going to be reviewing, tenants will put an application
I'm not trying to
in.
insult anybody here.
It's not insulting. It's bias-laced rhetoric. That's what you're doing.
No, it's not bias-laced.
Incendiary comments like that don't serve anybody.
That was not my intention.
Well, I've heard you speak before, and you're rather consistent.
No,
Well,
I don't think that's fair. I really don't. I don't think that's fair. It's not racial, it's behavioral. And we've had, and I've
What is
lived-
your question? I think you're
I
not
guess I'm
following.
done. I've been refused an answer.
No, I don't understand. What's your concern, Neil?
My concern, well, we were raised by people who said, not the color of your skin, but the content of your character. We believed in that. That was 1963, I was 10 years old.
Anil, can you, we just, what's
All right.
the question?
Rephrase it.
Or your concern?
That, well, I guess it's been answered. That you have a demographic profile you need to meet.
No.
Isn't that what you just said?
No.
If that's not the case, then
People have,
that's not it, then I'm satisfied.
Great.
there is a financial consideration. People have to make below a certain amount of money. They have to be working people to get these apartments. You can't,
Well, I knew
you
that.
can't be a millionaire and get an apartment
No,
here.
I knew that. I knew that.
I mean, we're talking about someone who's making $20, $25, $30 an hour.
I studied this, I spent time, I'm not trying to enrage anybody.
No one's
nor-
enraged. I'm trying to explain. Ken is a management company. It's in his best interest to screen his people who apply to make sure that people who get apartments are people who have jobs, who are part of a community and can pay their rent and are good tenants.
That's fine. Yeah.
We want good neighbors, and we want
That's-
people who are
that's
working here to
100%.
have a house.
That's the
So,
most precious
yeah.
thing. And yeah, okay,
I mean,
fine.
Ken has a good track record. Go and visit some of his places. The people working there are
Yeah, well,
hopefully it'll be someone
Okay.
like my kid, or,
that's
you
what we
know,
want.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last thing I would say, because when Housing Partnership came here, Sheila Martin was in charge of compliance, but Dan Martin spoke about compliance, and he'd retired 18 months or 12 months before. That was concerning to me. Then Sheila Martin was no longer in charge of compliance, and they put a white guy in there, but she was still working there. So these were concerns to me.
This is
That
all going to be
was
handled
why.
by Carney Construction and Carney Management.
I didn't know that before.
They're the owners of the building. They
Oh,
will
good.
be screening tenants to make sure that they're
Then I have no questions and no problems.
bill-paying people.
That's it.
With a good credit score.
That's good, because I lived on 25th Street a long time, and I don't want to be afraid where I live. That
Oh,
was
I
the
lived
only
on
thing.
26th Street.
What?
I lived on 26th Street.
No, sincere, okay? I was regular to ask the question, and I'm grateful for the answer.
But Elizabeth, is there any geographic requirement for where people have to be coming from? I mean, or where they're working, if they're living?
When we wrote the law, we had a set of criteria to give a point system to people. We were able to adhere to that in the first round with the 2 condos that we sold. I don't believe we can because of federal housing. We have to adhere to fair housing. So this housing is going to be for anyone, and hopefully people who work in Rhinebeck. I don't know that someone who's working in Kerhonkson will want to rent an apartment in Rhinebeck, or someone working in Wappinger will want to rent an apartment with Rhinebeck. We have to adhere to fair housing regulations, and we can't be discriminatory about where people are from or where they work.
I just want to say, I don't think anybody screened us or asked any of us where we came from or how much money we made before we moved here. And I don't think the same, obviously there are income levels, but yeah.
I mean, it's just like when you fill out an application to rent anything, you know, and it's we want people who need affordable housing to have affordable housing in Rhinebeck. Any other questions or comments? Is everybody going to stay for the rest of the meeting? Please not. All right, to be continued. We will have a public hearing on this in June, and thank you all for coming. Okay, well, let's, where's Joni? Let's just go ahead and do this.
There's Joan, she's having her cigarette.
Here she comes. Okay, we're back from everybody leaving, and have a couple of announcements to make. The Town Conservation Advisory Board still has vacancies, and we're looking for interested volunteers. Please contact the clerks. The last day to pay your property tax bills for the town and county and special districts are May 31st. After that, they're returned to Dutchess County. And a reminder to check with the building department prior to any reservations to make sure that you don't need a building permit. Also, the supervisor's April report, financial report, is on our website. Also, I just want to thank the clerks for being a part of the Dutchess County Clerks Food Drive. We have a nice pile of food over there and supplies for pets that residents have donated, so thank you for doing that. Okay, I need a, we're on tab 2, guys.
Right.
May I have a motion for Resolution 2024-245 to refund policies for temporary sign permits?
244, please.
Yeah, you missed one.
We did 240.
You did 243.
I'm sorry.
While you're getting that straightened out, I just want to, I have a whole set of documents online from the town historian that need to be organized. I would love to find a volunteer, hopefully maybe a high school student or two, to help organize it.
I was talking to Susan today, Nancy's daughter, who I'll be appointing as historian in our next meeting. She might have some ideas.
Yeah, I spoke to her as well.
But
But I figured if there's a high school kid that needs a civics project,
we could even pay somebody to do it.
there's a thought.
There's a crazy thought. Thank you. Yeah, if you don't, I'm sorry. May I have a motion for tab 2, resolution 224-244 to install an amp breaker box at the dock?
So moved.
I'll take Alan and then Chance.
I'll move in a second.
Any questions,
All in.
comments, or concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. May I have a motion for 2024-245 to authorize refund by voucher for temporary sign permits?
Move. Second.
Thanks, Alan. Thanks, Chauncey. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Should I bundle these up? Should we do a consent agenda?
It's fine with me, I don't have anything.
I'd like to make a motion for Resolution 2024-246 to purchase diving boards, 2024-247 to purchase lane divider storage wheel for pool, 224-248 to approve cleaning for pool bathrooms, that'll be on the weekends, 224-249 to create a full-time recreation director position, 2024-250 to adopt the 2024 pool schedule, 2024-251 for our summer recreation hires, 2024-252 to approve cleaning for the pavilion bathrooms, 2024-253 for cell phone reimbursement for the recreation director, 2024-254 to approve community fitness program at the recreation park, 2024-255 loan of picnic tables with charge to pay for delivery for labor, 2024-256, agreement with Duralast Roof for replacement of the lower of Town Hall roof. May I have a motion and second for those resolutions?
Second.
Any questions, concerns? I've been through all of these things.
I have two.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? These motions passed unanimously. I wanted to take the capital projects separately. I'll make a motion for 2024-257. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Chauncey. Any questions or concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion for 2024-258 for our preliminary accounts payable abstracts. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Alan. Any questions or concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss an appointment of a particular person.
Okay.
Sure, we're back from executive session. Is there any other public comment or any other issues that anyone would like to discuss? Any questions from anyone in the audience? Hearing nothing, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in June. Good night.
All right.